Yo, what's going on, man? Today is May the 31st, 2023. Last day of May. June right around the corner, man. June is when the NBA finals, typically start. That's what it's represented by, especially in my life, along with some birthdays and some other things other things kind of going on. A lot of birthdays in my family in June and the NBA finals, man. So we're here. It took long enough. We finally got, the team that's going to come out of the East after a long, grueling 7-game series between the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics. But we're here now. So game one will be played in Denver tomorrow night. And I figured, I did a lot of research. Feel like I got a lot to kind of share about the series, and wanted to just kind of break it down. I put bets in for game one. On the side, game prop as well. And then, so I want to talk about those. And I also want to talk about just kind of get into some player props, kind of tell you guys how I'm kind of looking at the series based on, some articles I've read, kind of just, watching the game so far throughout the postseason, how I'm kind of looking at the series. So let's jump into it, man. Hit the like button for me if you guys can. And of course, I'll always open it up over on, you know, open it up at towards the end after I, kind of give a breakdown, over on Twitter as well. So if anybody got anything they want to share, be sure to send me a request and I'll get up, a few people before I jump off here. I will say this won't be a long show. Won't be a super long show at all. But if people got looks, if you've already kind of done your homework, and capped the games as well, I would love to kind of hear. Always trying to learn, always trying to get more knowledgeable. So let's see what happens. First thing I want to touch on, and let me put the lines up for the game, and then there's a quick recap as well. I did go 1-0. I didn't do a show for game one, but I'm sorry, I didn't do a show for Boston and Miami game seven, but I did give out a play over on my YouTube membership page, and it was Boston Miami under the 206 and a half. We got that at open, and of course that cash, with ease. And so a lot of people on the under, after it dropped to 203 and a half and 204. So we all kind of cashed there. Game sevens historically go under, and there was no difference in that game as well. So that's just a quick recap of what we saw in the last game. So looking to kind of build off that. And like I said, we got the Heat and the Nuggets. The Nuggets are laying what I see now is 9 points in game one, pretty much on all sports books. Let me just check it just to make sure it hasn't moved yet. But when I checked it last, it was 9 pretty much. There's some 8.5s out there as well, but the consensus line is 9. The total is 219 consensus total, even though it is starting to creep up 219 and a half. I think it probably closes at 220 and a half, honestly. And if I had to put a play in, put a play in that I haven't played yet, I probably would be looking at the total to go over. But I'm gonna get into it. I want to I want to break it all down. So um, I had a write up for my YouTube membership that I actually just forgot to send out, and I said that in the in the write up I said that I thought that the line will open up somewhere in this vicinity. I was thinking, 8.5, and it opened up at 8.5. I saw it on DraftKings first, and I think it's appropriate. I think it's appropriate. One of the things that I looked at, to kind of, just kind of give it some malice to why the line is so high. I looked at home teams coming off a sweep, right? So you only had to play 4 games, facing a team that's coming off a 7-game series. And those teams that are coming off a sweep this is throughout the entirety of the playoffs, going back as far as the Killer Sports database goes, which I think is 1995. It's only happened 14 times, and those teams that are coming off the sweep are 12-2, straight up, 11-3 against the spread as well. The average line for those games, which this is the most important part for myself, was 8.2. So of course some of the lines are a tad bit shorter. Some of them are a little more, a little bit more, a little bigger as well. We have had finals lines before that are game ones open up at like -11, -12. So all of those things have happened before. And typically when you see a line this high, you think it depends on what side you like, right? But for me, I don't necessarily look at a side. I think Denver is heavy favorites in this series for a reason. And I think this line is strong in favor of Denver for a reason as well. It's not just, everything's kind of baked into this line. It's the home court advantage. Denver hasn't lost a game at home throughout the entirety of the playoffs. I think they're 6-0. 1, 2, 3. I think they're 6-0 at home, 7-0, something like that. They have failed to cover the last two spreads. Both of those were against the Lakers, but game one against the Lakers, they jumped out to the big lead. The Lakers just ended up cutting the lead late, and they didn't close they didn't cover the closing line, but they covered the original line. And then game two, the Lakers actually probably should have won that game, but they didn't. That was the game where Jamal Murray went off in the fourth quarter, and the Lakers ended up covering that spread. It should have been the only Denver loss throughout the entirety of the postseason. Lakers actually played really good defense in that game. But like I said, everything's kind of baked into this. 8.5 is a lot of points to lay. But when you think about the spot that Denver is in, right? So it's not just that you're a lot more rested. I think it's something like 9 days of rest, only 2 for the Miami Heat. It's also that Miami had to catch a flight. They caught a flight, I think, the same night and flew from Boston cross country to to Denver to play. So the elevation is going to be there. The home court advantage. Denver's also just been the best home team. I think I got it in my notes that Denver, they finished 37-4 straight up, which is 90%, and 25, 15-1 against the spread, 62.5% as home favorites this season in games that Jokic played in, including 8-0 straight up, 5-3 against the spread at home in the playoffs. And they also were winning those games by average of 12 points. With both wins in the last round versus the Lakers actually coming by single digits. So even though they only won those 2 games by single digits, we know that they won double digits against the Phoenix Suns. They mollywopped the Minnesota Timberwolves in game 1. I think they beat them by 29. And in the 2 games, another thing I looked at, because rest advantage is important, specifically, when you got a team that's coming off a 7-game series. The Nuggets, when they've been the more rested team in the playoffs so far, they're 2-0 straight up. They beat the Minnesota Timberwolves by 29. That was after the Minnesota Timberwolves that lost to the Lakers in the play-in game. And then of course, they beat the Lakers by 6 in game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. Those were the 2 times that they were more rested. You look at this Nugget, and I'm breaking everything down from a team perspective first, and I'll jump into just the way I think the game kind of plays out and get into some of the individual data as well. But the Nuggets they've had a defensive rating of less than 112 just 3 times in the playoffs. And in those 3 games of the playoffs, the Nuggets actually had a rest advantage in each besides the Phoenix Suns series. In 3 games that they had offensive in the 3 games that they've played in game 1s, they've had an offensive rating. They had an offensive rating of 136 against the Lakers in the last round, who were the best defensive team in the playoffs. And in game 1 against Phoenix, they actually had a 135.6 offensive rating versus the Phoenix Suns in game 1 of round 2. Offensive rating of 118.6 in game 1 versus the Timberwolves, where they really just didn't need to score as many points because they beat the Timberwolves so bad. I think they beat them 109 to 80. Won that game by 29 points. So that's the Denver Nuggets side of things. The Miami Heat have also been extremely strong. To start the series, they've won every single game 1. They went into Boston, of course, and beat Boston in game 1. Same thing for the Milwaukee Bucks. With no Giannis, of course, in that game. They got smacked up in game 2, of course. And then they also beat the Knicks at the Garden in game 1 as well. So this team has been, kind of, night and day from regular season to playoffs. And you kind of got to go through what's been so successful. Like, why are the Miami Heat so good? For one, they're extremely, well coached, right? Spoelstra is probably, top 2, top 3 coach in the league. He has his guys ready. They don't make excuses. They are a super determined team. They play the role of this underdog really, really well. And they believe in themselves, no matter who else believes in them. Jimmy talks about this all the time in the post-game interviews. So, they have all that stuff that you can't really measure on the stat sheet. When it comes to the stat sheet, what Miami does well is they one, they shoot the ball extremely well. This run they're on right now, they're actually one of the better 3-point shooting teams that we've seen. In the playoffs, them and Denver actually are 1 and 2 as far as 3-point efficiency. When you think about these threes that you see Caleb Martin hitting, and Max Strus and Gabe Vincent and Duncan Robinson, like these guys are shooting the ball really, 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 really well right now. So that's why Miami is as good as they are. They also just don't beat themselves. They don't turn the ball over a lot. They get back in transition. Whereas the Denver Nuggets have played against a few teams in a row now that don't necessarily have the greatest transition defense. The Lakers were a bottom 5 defensive team as far as being able to slow teams down off a miss. And Denver likes to push the pace. They love to run up and down the floor. They love to not have to play against your half court set defense. But Miami does a really good job of being able to kind of get back in transition. They're not the biggest team. They're not the strongest team. Caleb Martin is like 6'5", and they had him playing power forward. Will that be successful in this series? I don't think so. I actually don't think so. But will Spoelstra have some tricks, up his sleeve? I absolutely think that he will. The problem for Miami, in my estimation, is that Spoelstra's been able to, kind of use people in different ways, and it's almost like he's a general, and he's using his soldiers where he kind of needs them to, whether that's Highsmith off the bench, inserting guy like Cody Zeller, pressing the right buttons with a guy like Kyle Lowry off the bench, and then just inserting Caleb Martin and finding out that it works really, really well, and kind of riding with Caleb Martin. So much so that he starts the last 2 games and he plays extremely well. He should have been Eastern Conference Finals MVP, but we're not going to go off on that tangent. That's a little different. So, really, really solid team. Spoelstra is the king of adjustments. We know this. The Heat are the better second half team in the NBA. They typically are. They just play really, really well in the second half. They make really, really great adjustments. And equally, Denver has been extremely strong in the first half. So I'm interested to see how that kind of plays out. Denver, I wrote it down in my notes earlier. Round 1 versus the Minnesota Timberwolves, Denver was a +3 in the first quarter throughout the entirety of that series. In the first half, they were a +11 throughout the entirety of the series. In the second round versus Phoenix, they were a -1 in the first quarter, but they were a plus. Well, this is game 1 of game 1 of the first round series, the second round series, and the third round series. So they beat Minnesota by 3 in the first quarter. They were winning by 11 at halftime in game 1. So specific to game 1s. Round 2 against Phoenix, they lost the first quarter by 1 and had a 17-point lead at halftime. And then round 3 against the Lakers, they were beaten by Lakers by 12 at the end of the first quarter, ended up winning the first half by 16. So the common denominator here is that the Denver Nuggets, they were more rested than 2 of their opponents there. And we always talk about how the altitude and mile high plays an extremely big part. So what I'm saying is +11, +17, and +16 in the first half could not talk anybody off playing Denver tomorrow in the first quarter. Or I would look at the first half a little bit more, just because they said it last series, right? They said teams will have to adjust to Jokic, figure out what works well, what doesn't. And Denver kind of thrives on that. They come out and they play extremely hard. I think they like playing from ahead, and they've always been able to play from ahead because nobody can come into Denver, or nobody has come into Denver yet and beaten this team. They haven't lost a game in Denver in quite a while. So that's that. They are +7.3 in the first half, plus minus at home, which was actually the third best of all of the playoff teams in the first half. So I don't know what the spread is tomorrow. The full game spread is 4.5. 8.5, 9. So it's probably about a 4.5 is what I would guess. I haven't even looked at it, honestly, because it's not a bet that I made, but couldn't talk anybody off playing Denver in the first half. So I wanted to make sure I get that part out. The next thing I wanted to talk about, just a couple trends that I looked at. So teams, I already talked about teams coming off teams coming off a sweep versus teams coming off a game 7. But teams coming off a game 7 since the 2018 season, they're just 4-11 straight up, 5-10 against the spread. That means that fading those teams are hitting at a 66% of the time on the spread since 2018. You look at home favorites with the rest advantage playing in the finals. In game one specifically, they're 7-2 straight up and against the spread, according to the Killer Sports database. And then home teams coming off a sweep. I talked about this one already, but I'll just reiterate it again. Home teams coming off a sweep facing a team that's coming off a 7-game series, 12-2 straight up, 11-3 against the spread, with the average line being 8.2, and then winning those games by average of 16 points. So I think this is one of those games where the spread's high for a reason. As far as the total, and then I'll break down some of the individual things that I want to kind of pay attention to a little bit more in this series. But the total for me, this one is pretty simple. In game one of the Miami and Boston series, I talked about Boston coming off the game 7 and how you just not extremely locked in on the defensive end because you've had to, you had your back against the wall. So it's natural to have like that little exhale. So I think it goes over. Denver has, pretty much been going over in a lot of their games at home. And it's because they are extremely efficient on the offensive end. This is probably one of the better offenses that we've seen since D'Antoni when he was with James Harden, or you think about one of those Golden State teams. Maybe when KD was on the, I had to look at the numbers, but maybe when KD was on the, on the Nuggets team, on the Golden State team, they're really, really good offensively. So trend wise, teams that make it to the finals after playing a game 7, they're 37-22-2 to the over in game ones of the next round. So that's 62.7% says that this game goes over the total, which would kind of correlate with the total in this one, because I think it opened at about 218, 218.5, and we are seeing money coming in on the over. And more modern basketball, so if you just go look at, the trend that I just kind of told you guys since 2018 specifically, so just last 5 years, those teams coming off a game 7 in the finals, or just in the next round in general, 9-5-1 to the over. That's 64% as well. A couple other just small. So I would lean towards the over. And I'll just go ahead and say this now. I did play the team total over. I gave this out immediately after the Denver Nuggets, after the line came out. Honestly, I'd already kind of talked about it. I'd already kind of did this part of the capping as well. You just typically want to fade the team that's coming off a 7-game series. You want to fade their defense in the next game. The Nuggets have an offensive rating of this is crazy. The Nuggets have an offensive rating of 124 with Jokic on the floor. And if you guys don't know, like not offensive rating, offensive plus minus of 124 with Jokic. I'm sorry, 124 points, 100 possessions. Put it like that. With Jokic on the floor in the playoffs versus just a 108 offensive efficiency without Jokic on the floor. So you see like a 16-point dip when Jokic is off the floor. I'm pretty sure he's going to play big minutes. They're the more rested team. They are the more I won't say complete team, because I feel like Miami has a lot of role players, and their role players could potentially outplay play Denver's in this series. That's to be determined. But let's just say they are the more healthier team. Put it like that. Especially with Jimmy not being 100%, Gabe Vincent kind of rolling his ankle recently. Tyler Hero potentially could return. I watched the interview with Media Day release earlier, and Spoelstra was saying we're not going to get ahead of ourselves. We're going to be responsible with kind of managing Tyler Hero, but he's definitely not playing tomorrow. So Denver is going to be the more prepared team. I do think that tomorrow will be a more of a field game for the Miami Heat, and this will be the first time that they won't win game one of a series, is the way I see it. So let's see what else I got for you guys. More rested teams in game one of the finals, 7-2 straight up. I think I already talked about that. So overall, the Nuggets are, and this is crazy too because it correlates so well with the line. The Nuggets are a +9 net rating with Jokic on the floor, and they're a +3 with with Jokic off the floor. Their defensive rating actually improves with Jokic on the bench. They're 115 when Jokic is on the floor. Their defensive rating drops. Actually improves to a 104. So they're only allowing 104 points per 100 possessions versus 115 with Jokic off the floor. I kind of talked about the big differential in offensive rating. It jumped 16 points, 124 to 108 with him off. Jokic is averaging, he's shooting 54%, 48% from the three-point line, 78% from the free throw line, averaging a triple-double in the playoffs. This dude is like probably the greatest offensive player that we've seen in quite some time. Also, the Nuggets, they're shooting just a tad bit under 40% from the three-point line in minutes that Jokic is playing in the playoffs. And the one thing that's pretty interesting as well, another big thing that kind of jumped out to me, the Nuggets, their points 100 possessions is increased every single round in the playoffs. And for some people that might not be that mind-boggling, but when you think about comparing their offensive rating in the regular season, which was like a 117 in the first round, it went to like a 117 point something. So it didn't go up that much, but it still increased when they played against the Minnesota Timberwolves, who Minnesota also hangs their hat on the defensive end. So they never, were claimed to be an offensive team. Second round, they played Phoenix Suns. Offensive rating went to a 120. And then against the Lakers, who were the best defensive team in the NBA, their offensive rating went to a 122. So Miami's been able to kind of, like I said, kind of keep themselves in series because they do they make the, not all of, but they make a lot of the right plays, and they're shooting really, really well. They shot 58% on open threes versus Boston in the last round. And that's like 20% higher than the league average. So, they just continue to shoot the ball really, really well. Caleb Martin specifically, but Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, a lot of those role players are stepping up, and they, as they should, should be extremely confident because it's gotten them all the way to the NBA Finals. If you're a Miami Heat fan, and I know it's probably a couple in the chat, I can't talk you off of, not taking your team. I just kind of feel like if you're a Miami Heat fan, you've been told, you couldn't beat Boston, the odds were against you. You couldn't beat, Milwaukee, the odds were against you. You wasn't supposed to beat the Knicks. The odds, I don't know if they were against you, but you wasn't supposed to beat them either. And they just keep doing what they do, playing hard. I just feel like they haven't run into a post player like Jokic and somebody that they're not going to be able to play a lot of zone against. The Denver Nuggets had the highest offensive rating against zone throughout the entirety of the playoffs and throughout the entirety of the regular season as well. And a big part of that is because Jokic knows how to play against the zone. You're just going to put him in the high post and let him kind of do his thing. Also, just watching what Jokic was able to do against Anthony Davis in the last round, like literally just moved through this guy like he was hot butter. Like you just sliced right through him like a knife, on some warm butter. It was pretty bad if you're Anthony Davis, his defensive rating against Jokic in the last round. So, with Bam's versatility, I think it'll do a really good job kind of switching on the guards like Jamal Murray. But I don't think that he can guard Jokic at all. And it's going to be interesting to see what they do, right? Do you bring Kevin Love in? If you bring Kevin Love in, you lose a lot of athleticism. You get some spacing, but if Kevin Love's not making his threes, then, what good is he really doing you? So I just feel like, Miami has their work cut out for them in this series specifically. I do think this will be the best team that they faced, even though they've taken down the two best teams in the Eastern Conference, throughout the entirety of the postseason. So those are my thoughts there. As far as player props, I do think that, Jokic is going to come out kind of possessed like he typically does. I think his assists in the first game are a really, really good look. Haven't played any player props yet, but I do kind of feel like, he's going to be trying to get his other guys involved. And if it's going to be interesting to see who guards who, right? I think I was listening to Draymond kind of break this down earlier on this podcast, and a lot of the stuff that he said kind of makes sense with as far as Jimmy probably getting KCP to start. So that way you have an adjustment and you can put Aaron Gordon on him, who's a bigger, more physical guy who gonna make it a little more difficult for Jimmy to be able to shoot over the top of. And I think that's probably the most intriguing matchup. I don't know what Miami does to kind of, slow Jokic down. Jokic down. I don't think that Bam Adebayo is the best option, but they're such a small team that it's going to present a lot of problems. I know Strus is a pretty big guy, but we saw Michael Porter Jr. just kind of shoot over, anybody that's smaller than him in the last series, and he did so pretty efficiently. He also was doing a lot more than just shooting the ball. Dude almost averaged, I don't know how many it was, 8-9 rebounds. I know his rebounds were set at like 5.5 when the series started, but he's really going down there and crashing the glass as well. So it's going to be an interesting series. I don't think that Denver sweeps Miami, but I don't think that, just the amount of resilience that I've been able to see from Denver. Because we got to remember, Denver was actually down by, 15, 20 points at halftime of Game 4 against the Lakers, 15 points, something like that. And they came out and they bust the Lakers in the head. I think it was 36-16 in the third quarter. And that's the easy time that you can kind of fold it up, right? Fold it up, pack it up, go back to the crib, win Game 5 in front of your home fans. And they still didn't, right? So, yeah, I just think that they are the more complete team. I think they got just a little bit more. And I think that they win the series probably, I'll say 5 games. I think that they can get one in Miami. And I think Miami takes care of business at home as well. So Miami in 5 sounds good, but it wouldn't surprise me if Miami won in 6. I'm sorry, Denver in 5 sounds good, but it wouldn't surprise me if Denver won in 6 as well. Because I think Miami and Spoelstra could potentially get 2 games. I didn't bet the series price at all. Just kind of want to see how Game 1 goes. What I did bet was Denver. As soon as the series opened, as soon as Game 1 opened, I bet the 8.5. I took it on DraftKings because DraftKings is always the first book that's available to me. Anticipating that the line will move in the way that it has already, I do anticipate tomorrow game getting out of hand for Miami. I think Denver comes out, punches first early, and then I think Miami fights back in the third quarter just a tad bit, and Denver runs away with it in the fourth quarter after Miami makes their run in the third quarter. Is how I kind of see it playing out. So Denver minus the 8.5. I also played Denver minus the 8 because 8 became available on Caesars. So I got a little bit on both. It's not too big of a bet. So about a half unit on both. 108.5. 8 minus 8.5. Also played Denver team total, which is probably my favorite look. 113.5 was the team total. And I mentioned Denver's offensive numbers. They are extremely efficient, and I think it's just an adjustment period for Miami. So of the two bets that I placed, I would say that the team total is probably my favorite because I don't think that there's a way that Denver, gets slowed down in the first game anyway by Miami's defense. So those are my thoughts. If I'm playing a player prop, like I said, I'm probably looking at Jokic. Probably his assists. I think Jamal Murray comes out chucking. And if we see any kind of a zone from Miami, I think you got to look at KCP threes. 3+ threes on FanDuel right now. It's plus 220. And like I said, these are the 2 best 3-point shooting teams in the NBA throughout the entirety of the playoffs. So those are my thoughts on the game. If you guys join late, I will kind of go back in here and chop it up, kind of just put this in sections so people can kind of go to the section that they want to go to, because I discussed the total, discussed the side, matchups, all kind of stuff. So hit the like button for me if you guys join late, and I am going to go through the YouTube section real quick, and then I'm gonna get up some guests as well. What up to Sid? JR said, what is your thought process on Game 7 for Miami being under? So the other thing I wanted to say about the team total, the reason why I went both ways is because I don't expect Miami's defense to be able to slow down Denver in Game 1. So the team total over 114, is I think it's a really good bet. But let's just say Denver wins this game 112 to 90, 112 to 95. then you lose out on the team total, but you can still kind of cover the spread, right? I thought a lot about game one between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Denver Nuggets when Minnesota came into town. There's a lot of 3-point variance with the Miami Heat. If they're hitting their threes, they can score at a really, really high rate. But if they're not hitting their threes, and we know altitude can sometimes kind of affect that, Denver may not need to score 114, 115 points in this game. Should they be able to get there? Absolutely. I think that they should. But like I said, Miami does a really good job of being able to get back in transition. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm glad you brought that up, JR. Jake says he got Heat in 7. Snag, I already knew Snag was on the Heat. Snag would take the Heat against the Monstars team, against the Olympic team. Sometimes, not Snag specifically, sometimes people just ride with their team. And if you really want to make a lot of money or you want to make money betting, you got to kind of get off your team sometimes. I didn't bet I faded the Lakers a couple times against the Golden State Warriors. It made some money in the second round. Let's see. EQ says the last game they had in February, Heat won first quarter, but Nuggets took the lead before the half. I don't think you can look at that game at all. I went back and looked at those games, the box scores, totally different lineups, totally different rotational players. I wouldn't take that. Amos says he's taking the +9. Best of luck to you there. EQ says he likes Nuggets third quarter, Heat fourth quarter. Damon says he loves Strus to bounce back in this series, especially with the emergence of Martin. He played good against them in the regular season. He'll have his looks all series. Average 20 points and 4 threes. I don't know about that, man. I think Caleb Martin had his best series last series. I feel like they don't have like the size advantage in this one. I love Caleb Martin. I think he's a terrific talent. Hopefully he gets the bag this offseason too, but I don't know if he plays as well. I think they'll prioritize him a little bit more than no adjustments. I can't even think of my guy's name no more. The no adjustments coach for Boston. We'll just call him that. You got to kind of adjust eventually, and he was never able to do so in that last series. Jake says Caleb Martin Finals MVP. Where can you bet it? Check BetMGM. I'm not sure though. Caleb Finals MVP. Cedric says it's +6,500 on FanDuel. Man, if y'all like Caleb Martin Finals MVP, I got some money y'all could, I got something y'all could do with y'all money if y'all like Caleb Martin for Finals MVP, man. Let's see. Tyler says I see Nuggets getting 115, but I don't know if Miami gets 105. Denver could run away with it. That's how I kind of see as well. They came a long way. Congrats to Heat fans. Yeah, I would agree with that, Prolific. Shout out to the Heat fans, man. I know a couple of them that's been riding with their team for a while. Let's see. When Bam was asked, what do you have to do to stop Jokic? He said, most important thing is limit his assists. You think they will really do that? Absolutely not. It's easy to talk about how to stop Jokic. Nobody's been able to do it throughout the entirety of the playoffs. And he's played against some really good defenders. He had Anthony Davis in the last series, who I would say is a top 3 defensive player, big man in the league. And he also had Rudy Gobert in the series before that. And both of them look like barbecue chicken. So Jokic, this dude doesn't take he takes no prisoners at all. Shout out to my guy, UCapper. What up, RC? He said, let's cap tomorrow. Absolutely. Let's do it. Doing UCap, let's cap tomorrow with my guy, RC. At 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 Pacific time tomorrow. If you guys want to tap in on the YouTube channel. Okay. All right, cool. Let me get some people up, man. See what they got to say about the series. I don't want to be the only person with a voice. Let's get Stephen up. Let's get Cam up. Got to be on both sides. So I know Gray White probably done bet his house on the Heat. He gonna ride with his team, but it looks like Cam look like you're connected. So I want to get you up first, and just kind of go in that order, and then kick it to Stephen if I can get him connected, and then Great White, Prop God in the building. I want to get Prop up and CJ as well. Cam, what's going on? How you doing, bro?
What's good, man? How you doing? How's everything going?
It's good, bro. It's really, really good, man. I can't complain. It's been it's been good to kind of get a break a little bit, doing some other things, kind of devoting my time to some other things instead of doing shows every day. So it's been cool, bro.
Not bad. On that. words. I won't be here tomorrow because I got some shit to do, but I wanted to give out some of my plays because I did a pretty deep dive on this, and this is kind of the last chance to make some money.
Yes, sir.
So I think it's kind of probably unpopular to some people, but I'm done doubting Denver. I think the same way everybody doubted Miami, which kudos to Miami what they've done. Everybody did to Denver. The difference is Denver has the two-time MVP, best player in the league, and we've seen predominantly over the years that that's what really matters when it comes to these games. And I do think the roster construction is great. And but a big point, and you probably made this earlier, I missed the first bit, is Mike Malone is not Joe Mazzulla.
Right.
That's something that we need to be very clear on, and everybody needs to understand is there's no longer a massive gap when it comes to coaching. Mike Malone is an elite coach in the league, and when he wins this championship, in my opinion, they will win the championship. He will put himself in that category. It's like one of the top 5 probably. So my future is on Denver to sweep plus 500. I also have a future on the minus 2.5 just in case it goes to 5. I mean, some people will be like, well, why don't you just take 5 or 4? If they sweep, I want to win both bets. That's just kind of how I look at it. If not, I'll still get minor profit the way I did my units. For the game directly. Actually, sorry, I'll go through like my futures real quick too. So I also took a future on Gabe Vincent threes. It was plus 1,400. I also have a future to lead the series in threes. Sorry. I also have a future on KCP to lead the series in threes at plus 1,500. Just volume. They're going to get a lot of shots up. Like you said, I think KCP will be one of the beneficiaries on the outside. And at plus 1,500, it's worth a sprinkle. I wanted to have a few little tickets like that to care for. I was watching Dream follow them, and I thought that was fun. I'm like, I want to get in on that. So Duncan Robinson, I also took one at plus 2,500 just in case, he has like a few, like if I think it's a sweep, there could be a game where Duncan Robinson hits like 4 threes, maybe 3, and that could put him ahead of everybody just from the low volume of games. So those are my futures. Again, those are sprinkles. those are not don't put 4 units on those, please. If you do, then it's up to you, but I wouldn't. The next thing that I'm on for the games tomorrow, I did tell you I really like your overlook because I do think Denver's going to come out and score a lot of points. So I am tailing that. But for me, my personal looks are Joker over 51.5 PRA. You can get 50 PRA 50.5 at minus 120. I just went 51.5 because it was almost evens. He's gone over that 10 of 14 times throughout the entire playoffs. Like you said, it's just who's stopping him at this stage. We keep going. I keep being scared of all these first games. Being like, oh, well, let me see what Joker does. And every single time it's the same shit. So I just went with that one and to get the rationale. I looked at rebounds and I looked at assists too. So the numbers for assists is his current assist line. They're like at over 10.5. He's done that 9 of 14 times. And his current rebound line is set at 13.5. The baseline and he's done that 8 of 14. So for me, when I saw PRA 10 of 14 times, I'm like, let me go with the one that he hits more likely. So I'm not guessing if he's going to get more assists or more rebounds. I'm just going to do all encompassing. So that's how I decided to play Joker. I'm heavy on Max Strus, over 9.5 points. He plays well against Denver, and this goes back to something we talked about a lot during the season. I've been targeting Jamal Murray all year. Doesn't really change. I get it. He's playing better defense in the playoffs, but I have no problem targeting Jamal Murray, and it may not be Jamal Murray on Strus, but like you said, something tells me KCP is going to be on Jimmy, and then a double is going to be sent. You typically would probably send a double with Michael Porter Jr., somebody a bit bigger. Do the math, because the guy that's wide open is probably going to be Max Strus, and he plays well against Denver. That's something to make clear. Whenever he gets over 30 minutes, so that's only happened 3 times. He's only played Denver 5 times, so it's a small sample size. But his last 3 games where he's played Denver and gone over 30 minutes, he has scored 19 points on 6 and 12 threes, 19 points on 4 of 8 threes, and then 23 points on 4 of 14 threes. So he's bombing against them. They're giving him the shots. And I know everybody's Caleb Martin did real good last series. Like, back on it, his line's kind of hugged up into the point where, like you said, I don't know if this is a Caleb Martin series. They're not going to be like, oh, Caleb, you did so well last series, and now we're going to run the offense. That's not what Eric Spoelstra is going to do. Anybody who's watching basketball, it's like any of these guys at whatever time become that guy. So I'm looking at Strus. I think he might be the guy for this series just based on how he's played against them in the past. I know Caleb has played well against them too. But I'm targeting the defense of either Jamal Murray being the primary guy on him, or sometimes Michael Porter Jr., who does not play defense either. So I do think Strus will be able to get off in this series. I'm looking at a few ladder approaches to it, maybe just taking us over 2.5 threes at plus 145, or going straight ladder on points all the way up to 15. I won't just play the base 9.5 because I just have a fairly high confidence level in him in the game. So, but my official, because I don't typically give out ladders, but if you want to, there's lots of ways to do it. You can DM me and I can chat to you about it. My official is his over 9.5 points at minus 115. And then my last play is a parlay. It's plus 708. And it's Strus over 14.5 points and Gabe Vincent over 11.5 points. I just, again, plus 708, those numbers are numbers that both of those guys, I think, can get to fairly easily if they do get hot. If there is a lot of doubling of Jimmy, I have to believe Malone's going to double Jimmy, which leaves those guys to get open shots. Whether they hit them or not, it will be on them. But when I look at who's guarding them again, like Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. don't scare me as defenders. I think Aaron Gordon will probably be on Caleb Martin a lot of the series, and he's a better defender than those guys. But yeah, those are my 3 plays, my 3 officials outside of the futures, which again, those are real light sprinkles.
Okay, Cam, you actually brought something up, and that's a perfect segue for one of the players that I was looking at too. I know you say you like Strus a lot. You like his points. For me, and I think we both agree, like this might not be the biggest Caleb Martin series. I don't even think it's going to be Aaron Gordon. I think a lot of Aaron Gordon will be, focused on trying to slow Jimmy down. But it really just depends, right? What Jimmy do we get? Do we get the passive Jimmy, or do we get the Jimmy that's going to be assertive right out of the gate, right? Game 1s, he's typically been pretty assertive, trying to go in and kind of steal game 1, which he has been able to do. I think for me, this is a Duncan Robinson series for me. I like Duncan a lot. And the reason why I like Duncan a lot is because Duncan reminds me he reminds me a little bit of what Austin Reeves was able to do in the last series. I think is what Duncan is going to be able to do in this series. As far as like it's crazy because Spoelstra like literally been running the offense through this guy, right? Like they run a lot of ball screens for him, a lot of DHOs, a lot of dribble handoffs, just trying to find plays for, just ways for him to kind of create an attack, whether it's 3-point shooting, which they didn't do the greatest job against Austin Reeves in the last series. Austin Reeves was actually the Laker that was probably the most consistent from the 3-point line, but he did have the ball in his hand a lot. So I like Duncan Robinson. I think his points prop 8.5. And if I'm playing any player props tomorrow, I am looking, like I said, at Jokic assists and probably Duncan Robinson points. If I'm taking anything, just because it's a lot, I feel like it's a lot of value on that number.
It's over 8.5, and what's his line? I didn't look at his. I only looked at his
minus 110 over 8.5.
I mean, that's solid because really you just need him to take a 3. He's going to take probably 7, 8, 9, maybe more if he hits. If he hits his first 2 threes, that's done.
Yeah.
He'll just bomb, right? And
yeah.
Even if he hits his first 3. My only caution with Duncan Robinson is I believe Mike Malone will do a better job of ensuring he's punished for being on the floor, on the other end of the floor when it comes down to it. Like Duncan Robinson will be attacked every single time, like almost as many times as they can get him into switches or pick and roll. Like I think they're going to really look to ensure that, all right, cool, you're going to put him out there for shooting. Well, we're going to see how he defends.
So what you're saying, Cam?
When I think about the Strus's and the Gabe Vincents, they're way better defensively.
Right.
Than Duncan Robinson.
Yeah, but so my thing with that, Cam, you're saying my guy gonna be D'Angelo Russell from last series, and I agree with you, right? He's not the greatest defender, but he has been. If you go check the defensive metrics, he has been holding his own, on the defensive end. And the other thing I think, because I agree with your logic, but if you're Spoelstra, you got to figure out a way to put enough offense out there. You're not gonna beat Denver, 85 to 86, right? Like that just, hasn't happened. Denver can actually play defense as well. In the lower scoring games that they've had in this series, I think they beat the Phoenix Suns 97 to 87 or something like that, right? So they can win the low scoring games and they can win the shootouts as well. So I do think that, Spoelstra's going to have to be pretty, I guess, selective at how he, tries to, like, you're just not going to be able to put a defensive team out there and think that, they're going to be able to kind of keep up, especially with it, if he's actually feeling it in this series. So I don't, it's almost one of those props where I would, probably put quarter unit, half unit on it every single game. And just see, I think that's the play that could hit every single time, just because if you watch Duncan Robinson, he's also been getting to the rim. And we know that Denver, if they have a weakness, right, is getting, you can score on them in the paint. We saw, he's no LeBron James, of course, but we saw LeBron James do it. Austin Reeves hit the floaters in the last round. So I like Duncan.
He cupped his ears after a layup last game. So
right, exactly. Confidence at an all-time high right now, Ken. So, but I definitely like
your logic, and I like the logic around it. And I think so I'll be full dead ass honest. I didn't look into his defensive metrics. It was just I tested me Duncan Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
So like you are afraid. He felt like he was holding. Let's see how he does in this series is my thing. But I think your point's strong. If he's showing out in the metrics, that's what Spoelstra's going to look at. He's not going to give a shit about the guys. He's like, have you been actually holding your own when you're on the floor? And I think that's a very important piece, because I think you keyed in on the important part. If he's going to be on the floor, 8.5's too low.
Absolutely.
I think you're completely right on that.
Absolutely. But I like your looks as well, Cam. If you guys didn't catch all of them, definitely check out just hit the replay button. You guys can go back and rewind those.
You gotta listen to the podcast.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate you, Cam. I hope you catch these, man.
Respect.
Let's keep going. Stephen, you up next, and then Great White, I want to come to you. We gotta get it from a Heat's perspective as well. Stephen, what's going on, man? How you?
Hey, I'm doing excellent, man. How you doing,
bro? I'm good, bro. What's going on?
I'm just sad to see May go. It's been such a great month. I just want to thank Caleb Martin, Miami Heat culture. They got us paid that round. That was just an amazing series. But yeah, there's a lot of thoughts going into this finals. I have like a lot of thoughts and a lot of leads, but like I just kind of need to see the game play out.
Mm-hmm.
But first off, just on a lot of things you said, I couldn't agree more with the KCP threes. This guy I followed called Caps and Wins. I retweeted his article on my timeline, but he did a great job breaking down like what are the options for the Heat in guarding Jokic defensively, because that's essentially the whole series. And Bam could say whatever he wants, but the only prayer that dude has is a blindfold and a cigarette, because he is going to be cooked every game. Can't guard him one-on-one, and if the Heat go to the zone, it's really just going to be, they're done for. Like my long shot I like for this series is KCP's threes to lead at plus 3,500 on FanDuel, because I think he's going to be similar, like in that spot where Grant Williams and Marcus Smart were lining up all those threes and they had great looks. He's going to be on like that elbow/corner spot. So I really think he's going to get the looks. And if you saw versus LA, he was really shooting that thing with some confidence. So he's like one of those guys that we know, like, if he makes like 2 early on, he definitely could get to 3, maybe even 4. But for game 1, I'm on the Jimmy system as always. It was 6 or 7 in the conference finals, hit every game versus the Knicks. 2 boards, 1 dime, and I'm throwing in a steal now because the books don't want me to play that by itself. I agree 100% that Jokic, I don't think he's going to come out looking to dominate on the scoring. I think setting up his teammates is going to be very big. So I took this triple-double at plus 100. I mean, like I said in that Lakers game, game 4, when you have the best player in the league, the new biggest game of his career, then he's going to have so many potential assists. They're going to be at home buzzing. That altitude there is probably going to get to Miami by the 3rd, 4th quarter. It's going to have open shooters. Plus 100 for a triple-double. I'm taking that every time. Another one I'm on is on DraftKings. I'm following the trend of the Heat leave the corner open for 3. Bruce Brown this year was 3 for 7 and 2 for 5 in threes against Miami. He's also a guy who plays much better at home. Like, I didn't take his PRA. I like his PRA because his PRA at home is 6 for the last 8. And he kind of reminds me of like what Derek White was in that Celtics series where it was just a pain in the ass. So I took his 1-3 with Jamal Murray first quarter, 1 rebound. The 1 rebound in the first quarter he's done the last 9. And overall for the playoffs, I want to say it's like 13 for 15. But that gives you plus 130. And if anybody has prize picks, like something I'm on for prize picks is you could do like these little series props, and shout out to Dream because I really like that. That was like a really like fun thing. Like we almost brought home Gabe Vincent, but I have Jokic to attempt 2.5 threes in game 1, with the KCP 7 threes in games 1 through 4. And the reason basically is, once again, if you check out that article I mentioned on my timeline, Jokic really drops back. Like, there's so many options on this offense, like you said. Like, it's not a Missoula offense. Like, you could pick and roll. He can roll to the rim. He can stay at the elbow. But a big thing I'm noticing when I'm seeing the highlights is I think he's going to attempt an inordinate amount of threes. Like, I could see a couple games where he attempts 4 and 5 threes. So, for game 1 on Prospects, they have like a 2.5 3 attempts. So, I'm giving that a shot. And the last thing I'm on is on FanDuel. You know, it's juiced to minus 140, but Jimmy Butler, 2 steals, same rationales last round when I gave that out. Undefeated as a member of the Miami Heat, 11 game ones, 11-0, 2 steals in each game. So there's a lot of looks having this series. I agree with you with the spread. Like, I like Denver in this series. Another thing, reason why I like Denver in this series is the Heat are probably going to try to integrate Tyler Hero back in game 3. So if you want to take like an under on Caleb Martin points per game this series, Dream gave that out. I love that look because I just think that, like, if you think about like Tyler Hero, even if he plays 18, 20 minutes, like, you'd have to think back to like the 09 finals with the Lakers and Magic with Jameer Nelson. Like, when was the last time like a guard who's going to be like have the ball in his hands is trying to on the fly integrate himself back into the offense? And then against a team like Denver where they're so elaborate on offense, the pace is going to be very quick. So I just think it's a Denver series. And also, like, Jamal Murray, I don't have a prop for him, but he talked about the fact that, you know, he wants to be Kobe. Like, he looks up to Kobe, and that's like a big inspiration for him on his run. And that guy's just playing crazy good. So I really like Denver in this spot in this series. I don't think it's going to be like a sweep or anything, but I do think they'll take it on.
How many, Steph? Give me your series prediction.
I'll give him 6 because I think Spo will get 1 and Jimmy will get 1. It's such a cop-out answer, but I think 6. And I think Denver gets it done. I just think that Jokic is just such like an enigma. Like, what do they do with this dude? Like, when Bam, like Bam can't play 48 minutes. So when Bam's not out there, even when Bam's out there, he's got no shot. But when Bam's not out there, is it Zeller? Like, is it going to be zone? Like, if it's zone, then Michael Porter is 6'10" on the wing, pulling threes. Like, it's a nightmare matchup for him.
It's different. It's definitely different. I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. I don't think it's it's not a fade of Denver. I want people to understand that. I don't think it's a fade of Denver at all. I mean, not a fade of Miami. But at least for me, it's not a fade of Miami. It's more so a backing of Denver and how good they are offensively. Like I said, they have a 124 offensive rating with Jokic on the floor, and that's like if you don't know what the metrics are, that's next level. And I also just the point that I didn't make, but you learn something new about these teams throughout each game of the series, throughout each round of the series. And in the last series, I think the thing that was more, kind of brought to my attention is that they're, you just have a small, room for error, margin of error. Jokic didn't kill the Lakers every game. He did in game 1. Jamal Murray did in game 3 when they came to LA. KCP, it was game 2. So it's just, it can be somebody different, right? Their role players can step up. They also play very cohesively, right? I think somebody said in the chat, they like Spoelstra as the better coach. And, at this point, it kind of feels cliche to say that, Spoelstra will figure it out, right? But I also think that, I don't know if it was Cam, you said it, or Stephen, you said it, but one of y'all said, something along the lines of, this isn't Missoula, right? Like, Coach Malone has been here, not to the finals, but he's no rookie coach. He has a lot of experience, and I think he got more pieces, for what it's worth collectively. I think that Miami may be the deeper team because their bench isn't that great. But when you got Jokic on the starting lineup, it kind of equates for some of the defense as well. So I don't want to keep talking too much. I just wanted to make sure I pointed that out. Let's go Great White, because I definitely want to hear from a Heat perspective. I know he probably got the Heat in the sweep. And then I want to kick at the prop as well. What's up, Great White?
What's up, bro? I don't got the Heat in the sweep, man.
Okay.
I'm a realistic Heat fan, bro.
My man. Because, Great White, I feel like, and I'm going to kick it to you, but I just kind of feel like the Heat culture has been disrespected so much that it kind of feels like you guys have to say that y'all gonna win every game because everybody is picking y'all to lose every game and every series. You know what I mean? So it's like I love that you are an unbiased, Heat fan. I don't care if we say that these teams are called A and B, and you tell me that Team B went to a 7-game series and Team A is coming off a sweep, I'm taking Team A every single time, especially if they have rest advantage. So I don't want people to think, oh, Chris likes the Miami, Chris is not contrarian, he's on Denver like everybody else and yada yada yada. For me, this is more so I look at the numbers, I watch the games, and that's why I like Denver in game 1 specifically. But tell the people how you kind of see the series going. What you liking?
All right, so no, I could understand why the world is on Denver. They love Denver. Obviously, the Heat, they just came off a 7-game series. They had a 3-0 lead. We looked like we were about to give it up because we were going back to Boston. But the Heat, they just got something in them as a team. Obviously, everybody says tangibles, but as a team, as a collective unit, they got something where they're not going to quit and just give it to you guys and give it away. So everybody is starting to figure that out about the Heat team.
Oh, Great White, I think you broke up. Hopefully you just got a phone call. I don't know if you can hear me or not. Great White, can you hear me? Yeah, no, you good. You good. Go continue.
Yep. Okay, my bad. So I was saying that game 1 is going to be a closer game than what people are anticipating it to be. Number 1, I look at Denver. They've been off for a while. There's going to be some rust factor. I know people are going to say the Heat, they're going to be in the altitude, So if it's a close game in the first half, after the first halftime, I strongly feel that the Heat as a team, as a collective unit, they're going to fight to keep it a close game the rest of the way. So I haven't taken a spread pick yet for the first game. I'm actually kind of waiting to see how it goes until tomorrow. It's already at +9 for the Heat. I'm probably going to jump on it.
Okay.
If it gets closer to 10. But this is just a solo play that I got right now. I got Heat first quarter +3.5. Once it jumped to that number, I jumped on it, and I saw it go back down to +3 a couple minutes after. I think Denver's going to have some rust. Heat are coming off of a 7-game series. Going to be a little bit more into the game. If Denver blows the Heat out of the water in the first quarter, then I completely misread the first game. But that's just how I feel it's going to go. For the series, this is going to go at least 6 games. And I have the Heat winning. I have 2 bets. I got Heat winning 4-2 and Heat winning 4-3. I only put a quarter unit on each one because the odds were ridiculous. I also put Jimmy Butler to win MVP. I think it's great value. When it came to Boston, I feel like Boston has a lot better ISO players than Denver. Denver, obviously, they like to move around the ball a lot with Jokic initiating the offense. So I do think Jokic is actually going to lead the series in assists. I mean, that's without a question because of how much the ball on the offense runs through him. But when Denver tries to go ISO, the Heat actually play very good man-to-man defense, and a lot of people didn't really get to see it that much against the Celtics because the Celtics, they had 2, 3, 4 guys on the floor at times where they could create their own shot between Marcus Smart, Tatum, Brown, White, and Brogdon when Brogdon was healthy. Obviously, the last couple of games, he was injured, so he couldn't do what he normally does. Denver doesn't have the type of ball handlers that the Celtics do. So I think this guy actually favor the Heat when it comes to playing man defense. They're not going to play as much zone as they did in the previous series. They kind of had to against Boston because of the trouble that they were getting when it came to playing man-to-man. I also think this is going to be a Bam Adebayo series. And trust me, I'm throwing up while I'm saying it. Because you already know how I feel about him. But this is the...
You broke up again. Great White. I don't know if you can hear me or not.
I need to hear what he has to say about that.
Yeah, me too, Steph. I'm just kind of waiting it out. I want to hear this too. Yeah, I need to know how it's gonna be a Bam series for sure. I mean, the one thing I think he may say, Stephen, is that I went back to this last series is that, if there's a vulnerable spot for Denver, it's they give up points in the paint. They give up a lot.
Joker is not trying to pick up fouls.
Yep, exactly. I said that last series as well, Ken.
Come on, man. We did see Bam look back and see Derek White, look back and see who else? Grant Williams, look back and see Smart, and still do pull up turnaround. So I mean, I don't
bro was blowing bunnies in the lane in Game 6.
Yeah, this is all facts. Caleb Martin put the boys on their back. Let's see if we can get back to Great White. I'm gonna send Great White down, send him back down to speaker, and then to guest, and then see if I can get him back up. Let's keep going though. Prop, I want to come to you, and then CJ and Fresco definitely come to you guys as well. Think we got some more Heat fans in the building. I'm interested in hearing from them as well. I just don't want you guys to sound delusional. But if you like the Heat, I definitely want to hear why. Prop, let's kick it to you. What's going on, my guy?
My God, man, I ain't been here in a minute. It's only right to come back, as the season about to end.
Absolutely.
Let the Heat fans go after me because they ain't gonna like what I got to say, especially my guy CJ. So, I was wondering what bro was gonna say about the Heat because he was talking about throwing up, thinking about Bam. I'm throwing up the whole time he talking about the series. It's making me sick. Bray White. But I forgot who had came up and spoke, but he kind of took a little bit of the thunder. I had a couple questions for you on some guys like props I was looking at. So Joker, the triple-double at plus 100, I took that. I kind of think when you're offered Joker at a triple-double at plus money, it's like it's a system bet at this point. If he doesn't get it, you can live with that loss, especially with, being at even money. So I do like that. The assist line, he's at 10 plus in 2 out of the last 4, just over the last 2 seasons. Not much to go off of those 4 games that he's played against Miami. But I do think he can get there. As you said, if you look at Joker's points, his point prop is at 27.5. He hasn't got there against Miami. And I didn't look back past the last 2 years, but I think the most he had was 26. And I mean, he hasn't had to score for Denver to be successful against them, and that was without Jamal Murray too. Looks, you mentioned KCP. I like the over 1.5 threes. I know you don't like the juice, so that I heard you mention the 3 plus. But I do like the 2 threes, so minus 145 right now. I think it's on DK. But Bruce Brown over 11.5. He's got great history against Miami over the past 2 years. Of course, not just in Denver. It's going back to the Brooklyn time. But the 11.5 points is plus money. I like that. I couldn't talk you off his points and rebounds as well. I think that's at 15.5. His rebounds straight up are at 3.5. But his juice minus 150. I was going to ask you, what do you think Brown's impact will be on the series? I know you mentioned, I think someone mentioned him to hit a 3 is minus 125. Of course, that's great value on a straight bet. But what do you think Brown's impact will be? Oh, and also about the ball handler thing. I mean, are we sure the Celtics got better ball handlers after watching Jaylen Brown? I mean, they kind of look like turnover machines just watching Boston. And I love the shit on the Celtics, so it's only right I come back and do that, one more time for the year's over. But what are your thoughts on Bruce Brown, bro?
So ball handling, I think so, Prop. Like Denver, both of these teams, they don't turn the ball over a lot at all. Jamal Murray is pretty good ball handler. KCP can handle it when they need him to. And then of course, one of the Achilles heels of every team that's faced Denver so far in the playoffs is just that they don't get back on defense because Jokic grabs the rebound, and typically big men don't push the pace every time, but you can tell that that's a point of emphasis for Coach Mike Malone, and he's telling Jokic, hey, we need to do this because we understand that we have the advantage if we do so. So typically, like even since you was in youth league, when you play youth league, if you want the point guard, you grab the rebound, then you hold it and you wait for the point guard to come back and get the ball, and then you take it up the court and you kind of set up your offense, even if it's like a secondary transition type offense. But Jokic gets the ball and literally is shot out of a cannon up the floor like he's the point guard, and nobody taking the ball from him. He, of course, is unselfish. He just makes the play. He does, whether it's scoring and he takes it all away. He finds somebody, he can throw the full court pass. Throw it up the court for open shooter, whatever the case might be. So just a high basketball IQ. So I think the ball handling thing, they definitely got better ball handlers in my estimation. To me, Boston was a little sloppy with the ball. I'll just say that Boston was a little sloppy with the ball. Yeah, and Jalen, I don't really like to give out the hot takes, especially about guys that are really just had a bad game. People gonna throw them in the trash, try to pack them up. Like Jalen Brown just didn't make the All NBA team, but Jesus, 8 turnovers, bro. That's a lot of turnovers. What that showed me was that Jalen Brown is not ready to be a number one on anybody's team. So yeah, I'll just leave that right there. Prop. I think as far as when you talk about Bruce Brown in the series, I think he has significant value in this series just because he's the same size as a lot of these guys for Miami, right? Like, and he's also going to go out there and play hard. He's going to play defense. I think with how smart Spoelstra is, he's going to try to get they're going to look for the weak links in that defense for Denver. And I know people have been kind of picking on Michael Porter Jr. and they think that he's not the greatest defender, him and Jamal Murray, but they play really good. They play hard on the defensive end. It's one thing not to be great on defense. It's another thing to be, like a knucklehead on defense, like a Jared Jackson Jr. This dude is a great defender, but he's a knucklehead and it can get you in foul trouble. The Denver Nuggets do a pretty good job of not getting in foul trouble. So I think while they will try to attack Jamal, they're going to try to attack Jamal Murray, specifically with Jimmy Butler. They're going to try to attack, Michael Porter Jr. as well, get him in some spots that he's, pretty vulnerable in. But I think overall, going back to your point, Bruce Brown will, be in there. He's going to make a significant impact as he has throughout the entirety of this series. And I think it'll be, is what Bruce Brown does. Like, he's a Swiss Army knife. He's a hustle player. He can crash the glass. He can hit the wide open three. He can set up the offense. He's a good slasher. So I think he has significant value in this series, Prop.
Yeah, he's casted. Like, if he gets the minutes, that's the thing. The least amount of minutes he played in that Lakers series was Game 4. And he didn't cash it, of course. But I think, like, when he plays, I want to say, like, 26 plus minutes, the 11 and a half is, like, easy work for him thus far. One last thing. So as far as Denver, right, when I look at it, I like the Nuggets to win the series in 6. I know a lot of people saying a 5. I just don't want to be too disrespectful to Miami because, I mean, we can't continue to disrespect them at this point. But I do think that this is a tall task for them. Jamal Murray has not played good against Miami, pre-injury and post-injury. So if you're back in Denver, right, and you see that, what do you expect from him? Because I heard you like. It sounds like you like Denver a lot. Are you expecting that to end starting tomorrow, or who else do you think will step up? My thing when I've been capping Denver in these series, I always said their success is going to depend on what Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon give them. I feel like if they don't give them anything, then you have to see a performance like Jamal Murray with the 35 or 30 plus points. If they can give them something, even just 15 points, or if Gordon can give them 12 and Porter Jr. can give them 16, then it's okay for Murray to give you 20. But if those guys are going to be off, you need a monster night from Murray. And you haven't seen him do that against Miami. What do you do? Then what happens? So that's like my biggest question going into the series. I just want to know, you or anybody else, seeing Murray's history against Miami, does it concern you?
I don't think so, Prop. I think you kind of grow from those things. I think like I get it, right? Like the track history has been one thing, but we a lot of people have been giving out like stats for the season throughout the show. Throughout the YouTube comments I've been reading, such and such did well against them in the like at this point in the NBA, regular season don't really mean that much because if so, Miami wouldn't be here. We got to remember Miami was actually down, losing to the Bulls at home. In the game that they won, which was the second play-in game. So I think you can kind of throw out, the things about, regular season. I think Jamal Murray continues to play well. I think he continues to play hard. I think he shoots a lot of threes. And, Miami can struggle with guards. Jaylen Brown, I think, played, pretty well in the games that they won last series. And I think that, Jamal Murray is, he has a chip on his shoulder. He you can kind of tell in his interviews that, their goal is really championship or bust. And I think Gabe Vincent is a pretty good matchup for him. But Jamal Murray is, he's an extremely streaky shooter. He's going to continue to, shoot the ball as well. He didn't play good in game 2? And then the fourth quarter, he goes off for 12 points. And, they kill my Lakers in the fourth quarter. So, he's just going to trust in himself. And I trust Jokic to, just kind of make the right plays as well. And, even if Jamal Murray is struggling, they got guys that can kind of step up around them. So a lot of people go back to that whole saying of, such and such has to play well in order for this team to win. And I think you did a good job of referencing it, Prop. Not always, right? Like we saw Miami win games when Jimmy Butler didn't have his greatest game. Matter of fact, Jimmy Butler just went under his points prop in a game 7 and they won. So that's my point, right? Like Bam didn't play well in the last series. I think he didn't barely got the double-digit points in the last series. So, it doesn't always work out that way where you need a guy to absolutely go bonkers every single game in order for the team to win. Unless you're talking about Jokic, and if Jokic doesn't play well, you need everybody on Miami. Everybody on Denver to play a lot better. So those are my thoughts there, Prop. What you think?
Yeah, last thing I would say, I was talking to my guy folks about this earlier. I really don't like the narrative that Bam didn't play good in that last series because he wasn't there in the points department, but he did everything else that Miami needed. He's not a big rebounder, but he rebounded well in that series. So I do think he had other contributions, but I don't think he has it in him to do enough of Miami would need from him to win this series, and that's why I like Denver overall.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that as well. I would agree with that. I think they could have used a little bit more from him offensively. Maybe to not push it to game 7, but when you go to game 7, you can't expect to win game 1, a la Golden State. They mess around at home in game 6 and let Sacramento beat them. Had to go to game 7. Lakers come in and upset them in game 1. So game 7s and the game 1s typically don't go well. Same thing with the Same thing with the Celtics. Celtics lose game 5 at home. They got to go on the road in game 6 to beat Philly. They got to come back home and beat Philly in game 7. And then they lose game 1, of course, to Miami as well. So you kind of put yourself in a bad situation in game 1 when you're doing that. But appreciate the looks, Prop. Appreciate the questions as well. These are like really great conversational pieces, some of the questions that you have for sure. And best of luck to you, my brother. Best of luck to you in the playoffs as well. Let's go. I know CJ been waiting for a minute, so I want to get back to CJ. I want to get the Fresco, and then let me hear from my guy CJ. He's been waiting for a minute, and then Fresco, and I'm gonna come back to Great White, and we're gonna get up off here. CJ, what's going on, my brother? How you doing, man?
What's good? Heat Nation, Heat culture. How the finals feel? I know we ready. It's one day away. You know what I'm saying? We got them Bucks fans feeling yucky, sitting at home watching us in the finals. Jimmy win this championship. It's gonna be the greatest championship. Probably it's gonna be considered a better championship than Giannis got in Milwaukee. Off top, just because of what he went through to get there and with the squad he got. So yeah, just get prepared because when Jimmy get this trophy, ain't nobody gonna be able to tell me shit about Jimmy. And Jimmy gonna be top 10. Gonna just have to put him in there. I don't care who you want to say. He top 10.
You got a bet, CJ?
Top 10 in the league, not ever. I'm just saying.
No. I'm saying you got a bet, or you just gonna give me a whole. Yeah. What you betting?
Yeah. Oh, as far as game 1, I'm only taking the Heat to cover the spread. That's all I'm taking. I'm not taking no prop because I just want to see the game and see how the game goes and see who are they going to let shoot. Who's going to be the guy that they try to let go off. Because there's going to be somebody that they say, hey, we're going to let this guy shoot. I think everybody learned their lesson about Martin, so it's not going to be Martin this time. So I'm trying to see who's going to be the guy that they like, well, we can let him go off. I'm hoping that it's Max Strus, because if it is, we're going to eat on his points and three-pointers this series. I think Caleb Martin has a down series this one because I think they're going to pressure him a lot more. But also, just to touch on a couple of guys' points, my main thing is somebody mentioned it about basically they don't have the ISO players that the Boston Celtics has, which is my whole thing. Nobody on Denver's team is of caliber of Jason Tatum as far as scoring. Murray can go there, but it's with certain guys. And I don't think with the type of defenders that Miami has, he's going to be able to get off the way he wants to. I think him and Michael Porter Jr. are going to have a tough time this series just with the physicality of it. I think Jokic is going to have trouble this series just a little bit just because Bam can guard him if he puts the ball on the floor. Bam isn't afraid to guard him with him putting the ball on the floor. So I think that's an advantage for Bam. And if Bam drops between 18 and 20 points a game, it's going to be scary for Denver. I think game one is going to be close, but I got Miami covering the spread, and then I took a little money on them to win on the money line just in case, just in case they get a little extra. I just took the money line.
So CJ, question for you. Give me all I want. I just want you to say two numbers. Give me the score tomorrow. Give me your projected score for the game tomorrow.
115 to 120.
Who winning? He winning 120 to 115 tomorrow?
Yup.
Okay. Hey, best of luck, CJ. I hope you cash, man.
Oh yeah, for sure.
115 to 120. Okay. All right, let's keep going. Fresco, I think you probably got some more heat talk for me. Let me hear what you got to say, my guy. What's going on? Fresco always got a hot take.
You already know.
Jimmy 50 in the win. What we doing tomorrow, Fresco?
Shit, you go for the win. Fuck it. Go for the gusto, man. Quit playing with it.
So what's
question, bro? I'm gonna ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. How many 3-point shooters do Denver have? Legit.
What legit mean? Do I need to quantify that? Like they shooting over 45%, 40%? Like what you mean?
You can count on to knock them down more than they miss.
Let's go Jokic. Let's go Jamal Murray. Let's go KCP. Let's go Michael Porter Jr. I'll say those four. They're gonna make more than they miss. Okay. And at home, you could throw Bruce Brown in there too. Maybe Aaron Gordon as well.
Seven. Caleb Martin, Duncan Robinson, Dave Vincent, and you can go ahead and count Kevin Love, Max Strus, Kyle Lowry, and Tyler Hero when he come back. That's the ace in the hole right there.
Okay. Hey, so speed it up, Fresco. What's the bet? What we betting tomorrow?
God damn, I get on. You want me to go?
Not because 3-point shooting ain't the whole game, Fresco. That ain't the whole game. Just because you make more threes don't mean you're gonna win.
We know that, but that's an important piece of the game.
I mean, it's an important piece, but it's not the whole thing. Denver outshot I'm sorry.
I never said it was the whole thing.
All right, so the first piece.
Team, Miami, to win tomorrow. The hell with the spread, and go ahead and take that plus 360 with them to win the series in 7 games.
Okay, so tomorrow you just on the spread.
No, I'm not on the spread. I'm on the money line.
Oh, on the
money line every game.
Money line every game. Okay, just the money line. Okay. All right, and what was the other one? You said it was another future bet. What was it?
Miami and 7.
Miami and 7. Okay.
Plus 360.
Plus 360. Okay.
I have to watch them play more to give you some props. I have to watch them play more to do the prop thing. It's the first game. You want to see what they do as far as props goes. But the only one I'll say, I'll go ahead and get Jimmy Butler steals because you already said that Jokic don't get stuck. Nobody steals the ball when Jokic bring it up the court. I can see Jimmy doing it.
Okay, so Jimmy picking Jokic a couple times. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's about it.
Okay. Hey, yeah, that ain't too spicy, Fresco. I mean, it's a little spicy, but I can see it.
I ain't doing that too crazy.
Yeah, hey, you typically you get on here, you talk crazy, and then whatever you say, the opposite happens. So I just gotta, it ain't been.
But I'm gonna tell you like this. I come on here to say the crazy stuff, but I'm gonna be real with you. If my crazy shit don't hit, but I don't get on here and say my realistic shit because the realistic shit is boring. It's boring. It's fucking boring.
Hey, look, let me tell you something better than boring, Fresco. Winning. just tell me who gonna win, and I don't care how boring it is. I don't care how boring it is, long as it's a winner. That's all that matters. We trying to win tickets. And to your point too, Fresco, and best of luck to you on your action too. But until your point, Miami is the best 3-point shooting team by the numbers in the playoffs. They're shooting the ball 39% from the 3-point line throughout the entirety of the playoffs. But guess who's right behind them? 38.6%. So just 4% worse, and that would be the Denver Nuggets shooting 38.6%. Both teams shooting making 13 and 12 threes per game, respectfully. So that's that. I couldn't finish the show without getting my guy Ski on. So let's kick it to Ski. He gonna kind of reel us back in. We really gonna get to the series. Ski, can you let's talk some sense into all of this, Ski. You are an extremely profitable bettor. You've been doing this for a very long time. Talk to me about the series. What you see, my brother?
Yeah, I appreciate you, bro. And I had to come up. I just gotta say, I hope that's not how people be saying Lakers fans sound, man. It's madness in here, bro.
It's complete madness, Ski. But Ski, look, this is what I'll say to you real quick before I let you go. As somebody who I know when the Lakers were playing against Golden State, and I'm not a Golden State fan, but we both made money on the Lakers, and we both made money on Golden State. I know you were on a hell of a run. I was too. My run wasn't as big as yours, but we both got the double digits. And I want to say you swept that series, and I want to say I swept that series as well. We had different bets, but some of them overlap, and we both made money. And I think that's the part, right? Like if you become so emotionally invested in your team, then it can kind of kill you, right? And I think that's what's happening with Miami fans. But I will say that we faded our team and actually made money. But go ahead, Ski. Take it over, my brother.
What I say is, I'm gonna give them credit because I do think, to what you said, Miami was terrible the whole season. It was terrible in that playing game, and then they Bam talked about it like they had a meeting or something. And they kind of turned it around and looked like a whole different team. So credit to the Heat for all of that. And I don't think it's gonna be as easy as a lot of people who like the Denver side think, just because Spoelstra, you got to take that into account. I've been saying for a while he's the best coach left in the playoffs. He's going to make adjustments to whatever Denver is doing. Now, can they make enough adjustments? I don't know. When I'm thinking about the game, and I think Prop brought it up, like, I don't think, and you kind of talked about it too, I don't think Jamal Murray or anybody got a kill like that. I look at who Miami has been beating, like they forced the Knicks to shoot threes, right? Or did they forcing teams to beat them on the perimeter? Like, if you in here playing zone and forcing the Nuggets to shoot threes, they gonna kill you, bro. They got too many people who can splash them. MPJ, KCP shooting like 40-something% from three. Jokic knocking them down. So it's hard for me to see the adjustments that the Heat are gonna make to win this series. Does it mean they can't win? No. But I just think, Denver gets it done. As far as the game one, bro, I just think you gotta rock with the team who took care of business, who's healthier, who's more rested, and who's the better team. They proved they're a better team by taking care of business all season long and being the number one seed. So they got the advantage in this first game versus a Heat team who had to battle out of the 7-game series. So I think Nuggets are the right side in game one. Does it mean they're gonna win the series? No, but that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah. So Ski, I think we align a lot. I think the biggest thing for me, Ski, is with Denver. Like you said, right? Spoelstra, he's going to try to figure it out, but at a certain point, it feels like to me like you a gambler, Ski. So I know you don't play spades before. If your hand is not better than my hand, it don't matter what you try to finagle out. You're not gonna have more books than me. You know what I mean? And that's what it feels like. Like all your cards, Ski, in a hand of spades, all your cards are soldiers, and you gotta send these soldiers out to get the job done and try to bring home a book. And to me, it just feels like, I know we're like, okay, Spoelstra's gonna figure it out. But if that's what you have over there, and I know that over there has been enough, like to beat these other teams in the Eastern Conference, but to me, it just feels like the Nuggets might be like, he might not have nothing in his hand for this one, Ski. I don't think he got a big joker, a little joker. He got a baby. You know what I mean? That's how I feel about it, Ski. So I think for, I don't think it's gonna be a sweep. I'm not gonna disrespect the Heat, and I don't even think it's disrespectful to say that if you really like Denver, because they just swept us, and I think that we are a better team than the Heat when I think about the Lakers. But that's neither here nor there. I just think that 5 games, 6-game series. Ski, what you think?
I agree with you 1,000% that Lakers are better than the Heat as a team, but the Heat got Spoelstra, bro. And in the playoffs, that make a big difference. Darvin Ham didn't make the right adjustments till we was damn near about to get swept.
That's a fact. That's a fact. That's a fact. But Ski, what other adjustments? Like when we talk about adjustments, right? Like what do we talk? Like, is he bringing in Cody Zeller? Are we putting Kevin Love at the 5? Like how are you going to slow down this number one offense in the league, Ski?
I feel you on that one.
That's what I'm trying to figure. Nobody has been able to do it, Yeski. And I talked about this at the beginning when I was going over my notes, right? So like the Denver Nuggets, their offensive rating, their points per 100 possessions has increased from the regular season to round 1 when they beat Minnesota. It increased from round 1 to round 2 when they beat Phoenix. It increased from round 2 to round 3 when they beat us again. We were the best defense. It went from 117 to 117 and some change. 117 and some change to 120, 120 to 122, and that's like they're getting better as the playoffs go along, which is crazy to me.
I feel you on that, and I don't have the answers as far as what they're gonna do. All I'm gonna say is, as far as the basketball mind, as far as making them adjustments, I trust Spoelstra, man. That's all I can say. He's gonna have something that none of us even gonna think about, and he's gonna go out there and get them. I think the Miami Heat get 2 games, bro.
That's fair.
Games for the series is probably my good bet.
That's fair, Ski. That is fair. I would agree. I would agree with that. Like you said, we don't know how they're gonna do it. They typically do. I just think it's gonna be really, really tough. It's gonna be tough for the Heat. And I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't have a series price at all. I know Denver, and I know Miami fans feel like they've been disrespected the whole entire time, and for a large part of the series they have. Josh, I don't know if you connected or not, but if you connected, I want to hear what you got to say real quick, and then I got to get off here. I told my son I was taking him to the park. So let me come back to Stefan real quick and see if I can get Josh up, and then we'll get up out of here. Stefan, what's going on? I know your hand went back up.
Hey, real quick, listen, I love the Heat fans. We're rivals, but I love the Heat fans and I love the passion. But, bro, you can't be out here saying that Jason Tatum is like the Nuggets don't have a scorer like Tatum. He's the best player in the league who's hitting a one-leg fadeaway 3 and Anthony Davis is
Bruh,
hey, 3 games last series.
Tell me about it.
Bro, Bam gets slaughtered by this dude every freaking time they play.
I think so. So to put a number on that slaughter word, Stefan, I think it's Jokic shot 68% over the last 2 years, and when he's matched up with Bam specifically. So I'm not just giving y'all my opinion. I'm giving y'all the numbers to go with it as well. And I could be totally wrong. Like sometimes underdogs win, but Miami they got their work cut out for them this series for sure. It's something different. You know what I mean? Like to beat the Bucks, they weren't locked in. You could say, Coach Budenholzer was a worse version of Mazzulla because he got kicked out before Mazzulla got kicked out, and he never made an adjustment. He just sit there and let my poor guy Drew Holiday get cooked over and over and over again. So we talk about no adjustments, Zula, no adjustments. Budenholzer got him fired as well. So that's what I got there. I know it's a couple guys I think it's about 5-10 guys I didn't get a chance to get to, but I got to jump off. I'll probably run the show again tomorrow. Lock in a couple props, just some fun stuff. But I did want to get to Josh. I just can't get him up. Josh typically got some great prop looks. So I'm trying to get you up, Josh. I don't think it's gonna let you connect. I know you typically short too. Josh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
My guy, what's going on, Josh?
Hey, I got one play. It's a serious play. It's Jimmy Butler to average at least 2 steals on FanDuel this whole series. I think it's plus 1,400. I put a 1 unit on it.
Damn. Okay, Jimmy to average 2 steals on FanDuel for the series plus 1,400. That's why I wanted you to come up, Josh, because I figured you had something great like that. I like that look a lot. Because if Miami's gonna win the game, they're gonna have to be able to try to slow down this Denver offense, which has been, like I said, extremely elite throughout the entirety of the playoffs. So love the look from Josh. Knew it would be quick, so I wanted to get him in real quick. But like I said, I told my son I was going to take him to the park. I told him I was going to be here for a couple minutes, and it done got a little long-winded. But I appreciate everybody for joining in, man. I appreciate we had some great stuff on Denver in the beginning, from prop, from Cam, from prop, from Stefan. And then we got, the little spicy takes from the Miami Heat fans as well, which I can't talk, like Miami's define all the odds. So I can't talk you off if you like the Heat at all. But I think it's Nuggets for me. And I know they're the big favorite, so I'm not saying anything crazy, but I think the Nuggets win the series, and I say they do it in 6. But I did take them, best bets are at the bottom. I took Denver as soon as the line opened. I got an 8.5. I also got an 8 on one book as well. And I took their team total, which is what I like the most, at 114.5. I just think Miami coming into this game wounded. I think Miami coming into this game with the altitude, which is something you can't necessarily prepare for. In Denver, I mentioned their offensive rating. I think they have an offensive rating of at least 112 in 12 of the 15 games so far in the postseason. And the offense just continues to get better. So I like Miami to be the team to have to make adjustments. And I think Denver scores between 115 and 120 points tomorrow. So 3 bets for me at the bottom, where you can say 2 bets depending on where you want to take the line at. And I'll be back tomorrow. I'll like I said, maybe I have a couple prop looks, maybe a fun, parlay, a long shot or something like that, which I typically don't like to give out in the first in game ones because I want to see how the adjustment's going to be made. But if I'm taking anything in prop wise, I'm looking at Jokic assists just in case, like if it hit the fan early and, they go to the zone, Jokic might have a triple-double before halftime. And Duncan Robinson, I think it's a big game for Duncan Robinson, a big series for Duncan Robinson, just with the dribble handoffs, his ability to be able to kind of get in the lane and attack as well, which is something that he's doing a little bit more. And they're running plays for him. They're calling a lot of sets where he's the guy making plays if you watch the last series as well. And he kind of replicates what Austin Reeves did, in my estimation, to a certain extent. He's no Austin Reeves, but he can kind of, play that role a little bit with his ability to be able to knock down the shot. So those are my thoughts. I'm going to jump off here. Appreciate everybody for tuning in, tapping in with me. I'll be back tomorrow, again, 5:30 Eastern time. And we're gonna have some fun with game 1, man. Best of luck to everybody tonight. If you got any baseball looks, no WNBA today. I think it's 1 game tomorrow. And we do have NBA for tomorrow as well. So best of luck to everybody. Tap back in with me tomorrow at 5:30. Also check out the YouTube. Hit the like button for me if you guys haven't already. And enjoy the rest of your nights.